Welcome back to Sometimes Love Isn't Enough, the Parenting Through Challenges podcast. I'm your host, Angie Grandt, and today I want to talk about empowered kids. So I hear this buzzword a lot, actually, that I hear parents talking about empowering their kids and wanting to raise empowered kids, and, empowered kids make empowered choices. And I don't disagree. I think that it is a great concept to embody. Here's what I want to talk about today is that I want to perhaps shed some additional insight, maybe a slightly different perspective on this concept of empowered kids, because I don't just want it to be a bunch of lip service about our kids. When I think about empowered kids, I think about helping our kids to make decisions that feel aligned for them. And each of our kids are so incredibly unique. When I think about how to help our kids make decisions that are aligned for them, it does, at least through my perspective, require, I guess, the use of a tool like human design. Because each of us are energetically designed to make decisions differently. I, for example, can trust my gut. My gut says uh-huh and uh-uh. And also, I have to wait out my emotional wave, which means that in the moment, my gut will often tell me uh-huh or uh-uh. But if I make that decision, that bigger decision in the moment, it might not be right for me. I really do have to wait out my emotional wave. The silly yet true example that I often share about this is shopping for clothes. I have shopped the same way for so long, and I've tried to change it over the years, and it backfires every time because when I try to go against how I'm designed, it doesn't work. But I didn't know this about myself before. So, for as long as I can remember, I'll go clothes shopping and I'll try on 20 different pairs of pants and 10 different tops. And then I'll find the few that I like and I'll carry them around the store and I'll look at a few more things and then I'll put things back on the rack and then I'll go back to the rack and I'll put them on, I'll try them on again to see if I really like them. It takes me forever to buy new clothes. It takes me forever. So I'll go through this whole process and there are some things that I'm certain that I want, or so I think in the moment, right? My gut is like, oh yeah, that one looks good on you. You feel good in it. And I buy it. And there are some things that I'm like, I want it, but it just doesn't, I don't know, something about it just doesn't, I'm not ready to buy it. And so I'll put it back. And when I make that impulse purchase and I quickly buy it and I trust my gut, I would say that more than half of those things that I knew in the moment were for me, more than half of them I take back or I regret. I'll wear them once or twice and then realize like I should have waited. This isn't right for me. I don't even like them. They don't fit right on me. They don't look right on me. It doesn't go with anything else I have. And then I'll regret it. But for those things that I was thinking about that I left on the rack and I didn't buy, if I then go back after I wait out my wave and I go back and I buy it, they end up being the favorite things that I have in my closet that I won't ever get rid of, that I've had for probably too long. It's so silly and yet so true to me. And when I learned about my decision making, I promise I'll get this back to our kids, but I want to highlight how really ingrained this is in us. It isn't something that somebody taught me to do. In fact, it drives the people in my life crazy that this is how I shop. And yet, when I really genuinely follow my strategy and authority, it it fits me literally. The clothes fit me in a way that make me feel good, that make me feel aligned, and like I made a choice that's right for me. And learning this about my human design was like, oh, of course. It makes so much sense. But the same is true for our kids. And so when when we think about this concept of empowering our kids, the first step in really truly empowering our kids requires us as the caregivers to know how each kiddo is designed to make decisions that are aligned for them. Knowing it for us, super important for a whole slew of reasons. But when we're talking about empowering our kids, it's important that we know the difference between how they make decisions and how we make decisions and how to support them honor their decision-making process. Some of your kids, some some kids, some humans are designed to make instant in the moment instinct level decisions about all kinds of things. And when we allow the kids who are designed to make decisions that way, when we allow them to make decisions that are energetically aligned for them, it empowers them. It helps them feel seen and heard. And it helps them make decisions that feel right for them so that they're not stuck in this thing that was never really meant for them anyways. Maybe stuck in a decision that's more right for you or for their friends or for their teacher. So that first step really is in helping our kids have that internal sense of empowerment, really is helping them make decisions that are aligned for them. And I would also say that in the words that we use with our kids, right? Our words are so incredibly important. But in the words that we use with our kids, when they are making decisions, when they are asserting what they want, the words that we use back with them matter a ton. And so I think about many parents, myself included, were taught that I am the adult, I am in charge, I make the decisions. And we know, not only because, if you follow human design, if you've been listening to this podcast, if you follow human design experts, right? We know that energetically our kids are changing. What they need from us is different than what we needed from our parents, than what previous generations needed. We know that our kids energetically have different needs than we did. But even with all of that aside, our kids go through a couple of developmental phases in their life where they have a greater need to feel empowered. Our kids go through this during the toddler years and the teen years. Pretty easy to remember because, well, if you've ever met a toddler, you know that one of their most favorite words is no. And if you've ever met a teenager, most of their favorite words are also a much more eloquent, sometimes ruder, more drawn out, and with a little more tone. Also, no, because that asserting defiance, asserting delineation, asserting separateness is empowering. When I talk about our kids, I really encourage you to also reflect on yourself because it's so easy when we think about our kids being defiant or disrespectful or saying no. It's so easy to just tunnel vision, look at that behavior like it's something that needs to be fixed or changed or taught how to do it more politely. But I really encourage you to reflect on your own experiences when perhaps you have felt disempowered. And I'm not saying that to be triggering to you by any means, but we've all had those situations in our life, I imagine, right? I have had many situations where we feel like somebody took our power from us, took our decision making from us, took our ability to speak up for ourselves from us. And of course, energetically, some of us are much better at being empowered. Some of us are much better at speaking our mind, speaking our truth, advocating for ourselves, and some of us not so much. We're all so incredibly different. But I really encourage you the next time that your kiddo is being defiant and you sense that they're trying to take control, I really encourage you to pause and to reflect on what they might be going through. And oftentimes what they're going through, what they're asserting, doesn't match the current situation. I often find that when our kids are misbehaving, when they're arguing or being defiant, it has probably very little to do with the situation at hand and has so much more to do with maybe a buildup or a sequence of or a history of feeling disempowered. That oftentimes when our kiddos are struggling and we see that struggle as behaviors, when we can take a step back and really reflect on what is that need underneath this behavior? Is it that they feel like they lost power or that they need more power? Is it that they're questioning their lovability or their sense of self-worth? Is it that our kiddos are questioning whether, like, how they fit in, whether to a friends group or to into your family, or maybe you've moved to a new school or they've moved to a new school, right? When our kids are misbehaving, it's so often, if not always, a a symptom of some type of unmet need. And it's not always so black and white, cut and dry, cause and effect as we would like it to be. Boy, wouldn't that be easy, right? Like, oh, you spilled your milk and now you're screaming and rolling on the floor, right? Just clean up the milk and problem solved. It's not usually like that. Usually that behavior is related to something that happened earlier or feeling like they lost control over something in their life. So, so I want to get back to this concept of empowerment because I think all too often we talk about wanting to raise empowered kids. And I'm not saying this to judge you, right? Like I don't know you. I just know what I hear time and time again is that we are we are in this like weird awkward growth stage as parents, caregivers, clinicians, whatever your role is. We're in this like weird awkward growth stage, much like our teenagers are, in that we want to raise empowered kids in a different way than we were raised. And yet our nervous system is is pushing us to make sure that we stay in control because it feels unsafe or uncertain to us if we're not in control. And so our mind, our heart wants our kids to feel empowered, and our nervous system is like, yeah, I don't think so. They're not going to be in charge. I'm in charge here. I need to stay in charge to keep the family safe. And it's this, it's a lack of coherence, a lack of coherence. It's I'm gonna forget the word. Well, I have forgotten the word, but it's this disconnect between your mind and your heart, your desires and your nervous system. There's a mismatch. And so what do we do about that? Well, there are, of course, a couple of different routes that we can take here as parents, caregivers, clinicians, whatever your role is. There are a couple of different routes that we get to take here. But before you take a route, I really encourage you to reflect on decision. I find that decision is something that is often overlooked or dismissed as not being as important as it really is. But if you have thought or said or considered this idea of raising empowered kids, I encourage you to consider making a decision one way or the other. Because as I just described, it's as if our mind has decided that we want to raise empowered kids, but our nervous system is like, yeah, no, I decided I'm staying back here and we're going to stay in control and do whatever we need to do to stay there. So, which means that your mind is going to flip back and forth a little bit as well, because right, we're holistic humans. And when our nervous system is saying like, Mayday, Mayday, we don't feel safe, let's take back control, then if our mind hasn't fully decided that we want to raise empowered kids, it's just going to jump on chip with your nervous system and like, oh yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe our kids aren't ready for this. So in considering the idea of raising empowered kids, the first step is really deciding that this is what you're ready to do. And when I'm talking about raising empowered kids, I'm not talking about letting the kids run the show. but I am talking about making a decision that you want to do things differently than they were done for you. I am talking about deciding that you're done trying to control your kids' decisions, their thought processes, their responses, just for the sake of controlling them. There absolutely are some times when we have to keep our kids safe. We have to give them feedback. Absolutely. I'm not discrediting that, but what I want to open your mind to, open your perspective to, is when and how often and for what reason are we trying to control what our kids are thinking, saying, doing, feeling, all of the things. I see this happen where this is just a small example, right? This concept of letting our kids feel feelings. So, right, you have a young child who is afraid. They're afraid of the dark, they're afraid of monsters under the bed, they're afraid of, whatever it is that they're afraid of. And old parenting would have said, don't be afraid, there's nothing in there, right? And there that comes with good intentions, right? The caregiver wants the child to not be afraid, but it comes with a little bit of like control, right? Stop being afraid. It makes me uncomfortable, and I need you to stop being afraid and start being happy again. It comes with a bit of that intention behind it. Empowered parenting looks like this. It looks like, I hear that you're scared. Can I go check it out with you together so that we can see if there's something we can do about what's scaring you? It's empowering them. It's saying, I see you. I hear you. Let's go take care of this together instead of stop being scared. Don't act like that. Don't say that. Everything's fine, right? That's disempowering. And it's taking away from our kids' experience. And I know not everybody believes in this type of parenting, but if that's true, you're probably not listening to this podcast anyways. So I don't know why I said that. So it's this idea of deciding that you're ready to notice those little moments when maybe you do it wrong. Of course, you're going to do it wrong. Again, as parents, I think we're all in this like awkward teenage stage of like, what do I do? What do I say? Oh no, I said the wrong thing. This feels so awkward, right? Because we are really trying. I think many of us are trying to shift the way that we show up for kids because they need that from us. And so that first step is decision. And then the next step, I think that there are kind of two key branches, at least through the way that I support my clients. One is going through a thoughts, feelings, actions model and really assessing our belief system about our kiddos, really assessing how we're helping them feel empowered. And the other route is using a tool to help rewire our brain, such as EFT tapping, right? EFT tapping has this beautiful way of helping us break the loop between our nervous system and our actions. EFT helps to create a new loop, a new belief essentially from our nervous system to our brain. So with EFT, to me, it's a bit of a fast pass, right? Through traditional mindset coaching, it oftentimes requires work. We've had a belief for decades about empowering kids and what that means and what it feels like to be empowered and what it feels like to be disempowered, right? We have a belief system about our role as a parent and keeping control in the home, keeping safety in the home, right? We have a belief about that that's been there for, well, it's been there for you for decades since you were little, but it's been in your nervous system. I would argue it's been there for generations, right? This has been passed down from generation to generation to generation to you, and it's influencing the way that you show up. And so doing mindset work, there's definitely power in that. It helps us to open our mind, but then adding on to that, a tool like EFT tapping can really help to settle in that new belief in a powerful way so that you can shift the way that you're responding to your kiddo when the old version of you would hear your kiddo say something or do something and feel driven. You would feel driven to want to take back control. EFT helps you to be more present in the moment and shift the way that you're responding to your kiddo based on your new decision that you've made about really encouraging your kiddo to feel empowered through your actions, through the way that you're supporting them. So I feel like lately I've been leaving you with a challenge at the end of most episodes. So this is my challenge for you this week is, are you ready to raise empowered kids? And if you're ready, are you deciding that you're cutting off the option of disempowering your kid? Or at least when you say something or do something that was disempowering, are you ready to decide that you're going to forgive yourself, maybe apologize to your kiddo for what you said, and work to keep shifting the way that you show up for them? Are you ready for that type of decision? And then, if you are ready, what is that approach that works best for you? Is it working on first shifting your perspective and your mindset? Is it really digging in deep and getting at that nervous system level to break that pattern? What is it for you that's going to help you shift to really start raising empowered kids? This is what your kids need from you. And perhaps it's what your relationship with your kiddo needs as well. So, this is it for today's episode about raising empowered kids. I would love to hear your thoughts. And as always, if you are looking for support to shift your relationship, to break those patterns, to really help you raise empowered kids, this is the work that I love doing. So book a connection clarity call. I would love to chat with you to help assess where you're stuck and how to get unstuck. So until next time, we'll talk soon.